Imagine a force so dark, so powerful, that it could imprison a man's soul for years, driving him to utter despair. Why did demons, when confronted by Jesus, beg to be sent into a herd of pigs? Picture a serene landscape, almost untouched, on the edge of a vast sea. The calm waters reflect the clear sky, as small waves gently kiss the shore. This is the region of Gadara, or Gerasa, a remote, almost mysterious area, dotted with caves and tombs rising among green hills. The tranquility of this setting hides a past full of stories and a present on the brink of something extraordinary. There, in the distance, a small boat approaches. Crossing the waters of the Sea of Galilee, inside it is Jesus, accompanied by his disciples. They have just survived a violent storm, a miracle witnessed by the astonished disciples. Now, they barely set foot on solid ground, still hearing the sound of the waves in the background, when a new situation awaits them. The atmosphere shifts. The serenity of that place conceals something dark. The presence of Jesus seems to attract a different force, a hidden presence, a disturbing spirit. As his feet touch the ground, something supernatural begins to manifest. Suddenly, from among the tombs, a man emerges. His body is marked by suffering, his skin filthy, his hair disheveled, his eyes wild with torment. He is possessed, not by one, but by many demons. The pain and anguish of living under such a yoke are revealed in his wild appearance. The chains that once held him have been broken by the supernatural strength that resides in him. No one can contain him. He runs toward Jesus. The sound of his screams echoes along the coast. To anyone watching, it seems impossible that anyone could approach this man without being overcome with fear. But Jesus remains unmoved, unshaken, serene. The disciples perhaps step back, surprised by the man's ferocity, but Jesus stands firm. The possessed man falls to his knees before Jesus, as if forced by a power greater than himself. The demons controlling him instinctively recognize the presence of something infinitely more powerful. And amid the cries, he shouts with a voice that is not his own, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? Have you come to torment us before the appointed time?" There is tension in the air. The presence of Jesus, so powerful, challenges the darkness that has taken hold of this man. The demons feel the weight of this presence, a force they cannot resist. Thus begins the confrontation between good and evil, between light and darkness, in the land of Gadara. The man's voice continues, but there is something different in it, more than just human words. The demons, tormented by the mere presence of Jesus, speak through him. They know who he is. There is no need for introductions because before them stands the Son of the Most High God, who holds all power over heaven, earth, and the spiritual world. They tremble before him. The man's eyes are wide with despair, but behind them lies something even more terrifying, a legion of evil spirits, fully aware that their dominion over this body is about to end. There is no disguise or deception. They acknowledge the supreme authority of Jesus, and it is with fear that they address him. "Please," the spirits beg, "don't send us into the abyss." The plea is strange, almost pathetic, coming from beings that have terrorized and dominated for so long. They know that Jesus has the power to cast them into the place of eternal torment, and so they beg, seeking a way out, anything that might delay their fate. A heavy silence hangs in the air. Even the demons, creatures of chaos and darkness, know that before Jesus, all hope of resistance is futile. They stand before light and justice, and that light consumes them, exposing their wickedness and leaving them with no escape. In their desperation, the demons change their tone. They know they are lost but seek an alternative. Their eyes, through the possessed man, turn to something nearby. In the distance, grazing peacefully on the hillsides, is a large herd of pigs, hundreds of them. A common sight in those lands, but now they would become the focus of something supernatural. "If you drive us out," the demons say with growing urgency, "allow us to go into the pigs." They prefer to inhabit animals rather than face the abyss they fear so much. The request is unexpected, almost absurd. They know their expulsion is inevitable, but they try to bargain for a way out, even if it means casting their evil upon innocent creatures. The disciples, watching everything, were probably confused, perhaps even disturbed by what was happening. How could these evil spirits, who had dominated a man for so long, now beg for such a strange alternative? But to the demons, it was clear, they only wanted to continue existing, even if it meant abandoning the human body they controlled and sinking into another being, any being. Jesus, with his unshakable calm, observes the situation. He sees the demons pleading, feels the weight of the evil that the man had carried, and knows that the power he possesses is greater than anyone there can imagine. And, surprisingly, he consents. Not because the demons deserve mercy, but because this act will become a lesson for all who witness it. The demons, now with Jesus' permission, prepare to leave the man's body. It is a tense and dark transition, as if the air around them were charged with an invisible energy. But as their request is granted, a question arises in the hearts of those watching: why did the demons choose the pigs? What was the meaning behind this strange request? The demons feared something far worse than expulsion: the abyss. This place is the final destination of their condemnation, where separation from God is absolute, where complete darkness and despair reign. To them, anything is better than being cast into this place of eternal torment. They prefer to inhabit animal bodies than face their final judgment. But there is more than fear in this choice. Pigs, in Jewish culture, were seen as unclean animals, despised and avoided. To the demons, this symbol of impurity seemed fitting. It was not a random choice. They preferred to contaminate what was already viewed as impure in the eyes of the people. Additionally, by choosing the pigs, the demons intended to cause confusion and destruction, even if indirectly. They wanted to continue their work of chaos, even without human presence. Jesus' permission is not a sign of weakness but rather an act that reveals the true nature of the demons. Jesus not only exposes the evil they represent but also gives a lesson to those watching, showing that the freedom he brings is far greater than any destruction evil can inflict. Now, the demons are ready to depart, and the next phase of this extraordinary event is about to unfold. The demons, released by Jesus' consent, leave the man's body in a nearly palpable moment of liberation. The air seems to vibrate with a strange energy, and in an instant, the man who had been chained to darkness for so long finds himself free, breathing deeply for the first time in years. But everyone's attention now turns to the distant herd of pigs. In a surreal scene, the demons, invisible to human eyes, invade the bodies of the pigs. In the blink of an eye, the once calm animals are thrown into uncontrollable frenzy. The pigs begin to run wildly, their terrified squeals echoing across the hills. They are no longer in control of themselves. They are possessed by that legion of evil spirits, who now drive them to self-destruction. Then, something terrible happens. The herd, numbering about 2,000 pigs, rushes toward the cliff. In a mass movement, the animals plunge from the heights, falling directly into the sea, swallowed by the deep waters. The sound is chaotic, like a great wave of squeals and splashes, until silence returns to the place. What seemed to be a strange request from the demons now reveals their true intention: chaos and destruction, even when confined to animal bodies. For those watching, it is a shock. The pig herders, horrified, can barely process what happened. In an instant, their livelihood was destroyed. But to Jesus, the true importance was clear: the man was now free. Evil had been expelled. The sacrifice of the pigs became a symbol of the destructive power of evil, but also of Jesus' unquestionable authority over the darkness. Calm returns, but nothing is the same. The man, once possessed, stands quietly, restored. The tide of darkness has receded, and he finally experiences the peace that had been denied to him for so long. As the sound of the pigs sinking into the water slowly fades, the atmosphere around seems frozen in time. The man, once possessed, now stands, dressed in a serenity that is almost unrecognizable. His eyes, which once reflected torment and despair, now reveal a deep clarity. He breathes calmly, his movements soft, as if, for the first time in a long time, his body and mind are at peace. But, in the distance, the pig herders are in shock. They witnessed with their own eyes the unbelievable scene that just took place. Everything they owned, all those lives, are now at the bottom of the sea. Without thinking twice, they run to the town. Their voices echo through the streets as they recount what they witnessed. The story spreads like wildfire, and soon a crowd begins to form. Curious, frightened, and disbelieving, they leave their homes and fields to see for themselves what happened. When the crowd arrives at the scene, their faces express a mixture of surprise and fear. They see the man they once knew as the lunatic who lived among the tombs. The one no one could chain, no one dared approach. Now he sits at the feet of Jesus, dressed and in his right mind. To them, the transformation is as radical as it is unbelievable. This is the same man who once embodied chaos and madness, but now, before them, he is the picture of serenity. What happened there was not just a miracle. It was an undeniable demonstration of Jesus' power, a force capable of restoring even those who seemed irretrievably lost. But instead of celebration, something else arises in the hearts of that crowd. They don't know how to deal with what they have seen. The power of Jesus frightens them, his authority over the supernatural unsettles them. And even in the face of the obvious miracle, fear begins to take hold of them. What will Jesus do next? What will he bring to their lives? At that moment, fear speaks louder than gratitude or faith. The fear in the crowd is palpable. They look at Jesus, at the restored man, and at the sea where the pigs disappeared, and a growing unease fills their hearts. Jesus' power is evident, but it is also incomprehensible and, for many there, frightening. They wonder, if Jesus can control demons and destroy a herd of pigs with a single word, what else can he do? And more importantly, what will he do? The herders, the townspeople, and the villagers around begin murmuring among themselves, their voices blending disbelief and anxiety. They have lost their herds, their sources of livelihood, in an event they could never have predicted. To them, the price of that miracle seemed too high. The liberation of the possessed man is undeniable, but the material cost, the destruction of their pigs, weighs heavier on their minds. Amid the tumult, someone gathers the courage to approach Jesus. The voice, initially hesitant, reflects the tension of the entire crowd. "Please, leave this place." The request sounds strange, almost unthinking. It is not a request of violence or anger but of fear, of not knowing how to deal with such overwhelming power. In their eyes, Jesus is a force that challenges the order they knew, and, in the confusion of their hearts, they prefer that he leaves. Gradually, the request spreads through the crowd. "Leave." Their words are a mix of respect and fear, an attempt to restore normalcy in their lives, even if it means driving away the one who brought healing and liberation. Jesus, with a deep and understanding look, sees what is happening in the hearts of these people. He does not force his presence. He does not stay where he is not wanted. With the same calm with which he arrived, he prepares to depart. But there is no resentment in his face, only a serene acceptance of the freedom of choice of those who reject him. The miracle was performed, but full understanding still eluded these people. Now, as Jesus approaches the boat again, the man who was freed watches with eyes full of new light, not wanting to let his Savior leave. As Jesus approaches the boat, the man who had been freed hurries to follow him. His eyes, now filled with gratitude, reveal a deep desire to stay with the one who rescued him from the darkness. Every step he takes toward Jesus carries the silent plea, "Let me go with you." His heart overflows with a mixture of relief, hope, and reverence. He does not want to return to his old life, to the place where so much suffering imprisoned him. All he wants now is to follow the Master, to stay by the side of the one who gave him a new life. But when he finally reaches Jesus, his request is met with a surprising response. Jesus looks at him with deep affection, but instead of accepting his company, he gently says, "Go back to your home and tell all that God has done for you." It was not a rejection but a mission. Jesus not only freed him but now called him to be a living witness of God's transforming power. The man, still overcome with emotion, hesitates for a moment. He wanted to be with Jesus, to walk by his side, but he realizes that there is a greater purpose in returning. He has been transformed, and now his story would be the living proof for all who knew him, a story of liberation, of power over darkness, and of a new life. With a respectful nod and tears in his eyes, the man accepts the mission. He turns and begins his journey back, not to the tombs but to his home, his family, and his community. He is no longer the same. Now he carries a story that not only changed his life but would also change the lives of many others. Jesus, seeing his obedience, climbs into the boat with his disciples. As the boat drifts away, the man looks back one last time, knowing that even though their paths part, he will always be connected to the Master who freed him. The crowd, watching all this, remains silent. Jesus' words echo in their hearts, as the man leaves to fulfill his new mission, a mission no one could have imagined just days before when he still lived among the tombs. As Jesus' boat slowly drifts away from the shore, the crowd continues to watch in silence, gripped by a mixture of feelings, reverence, fear, and a curious unease. The man, now free, disappears on the horizon, and life in the region seems to begin returning to its usual rhythm, but nothing will ever be the same. The story of that extraordinary encounter, of the deliverance and power over evil, begins to spread like wildfire. The freed man returns to his city. As he enters, people watch him with surprise. He is no longer the lunatic who roamed among the tombs, the man marked by despair and uncontrollable violence. Now he is at peace, his transformed appearance reflecting a serenity none of them had ever seen in him before. And as he walks through the streets, all who cross his path stop, stare, and whisper. What happened to him? How can this be the same man? Without hesitation, he begins to tell his story. He speaks of his encounter with Jesus, of the power that set him free, of what it felt like to finally be freed from the grip of the demons that tormented him for so long. He talks about the pigs, about the evil spirit's request, and about the power of Jesus, who, with a single word, changed his entire life. People listen, fascinated. Many who once avoided him now listen intently. He becomes a living witness of God's power, someone who can say with complete conviction that he was transformed, not by human effort, but by divine intervention. And as he tells his story from town to town, the message of Jesus, the power of the Son of God, begins to spread throughout the region. Those who heard tell others, and soon the name of Jesus is known far beyond the borders of Gadara. The lesson of this event is not limited to the deliverance of the man but to the reach of God's transforming power. Even amid the rejection of the Gadarenes, Jesus' message continues to spread. Even those who asked him to leave cannot erase the truth of the miracle they witnessed. The man, once possessed by a legion of demons, now becomes a herald of mercy and redemption. He is the living proof that no darkness is too deep for God's light to penetrate. And so, as Jesus' boat disappears on the horizon, his influence remains. Not just in the words of that freed man but in the hearts of all who witnessed that day. A truth was established: wherever Jesus goes, the power of darkness recedes, and new life emerges. The story of the man and the pigs becomes a living reminder of Jesus' unbreakable authority over all evil, and of the constant invitation to faith and transformation.